Deep beneath the waters of the Mediterranean Sea lies an underwater volcano so powerful that its potential eruption is being felt around the entire world. Could this be the start of the next global catastrophe? What would happen if the Italian supervolcano erupted today? Italy is home to some of the most beautiful cities in the entire world. Rome, Florence, Venice, each one is packed with incredible history and stunning architecture. But there is also a dark side to this amazing country because it just so happens to be sitting atop a hotbed of volcanic activity. In fact, at this very moment, 26 volcanoes are actively rumbling beneath the surface of the Earth in Italy, including one that could quite literally end all life on Earth as we know it. The truth is that there is a massive volcano lurking beneath the Mediterranean, and scientists have been sounding the alarm for years. Some experts even claim that it may erupt at any given moment, and when it does, it will be one of the worst natural disasters in human history. This is one scary volcano. Let's take a look. The first thing you need to understand about this volcano is how big it really is. If you were standing in the center of Rome, looking down at the ground directly beneath your feet, you wouldn't feel anything. That's because the Italian supervolcano isn't just one single volcano. It's actually made up of 3 enormous calderas. These are essentially giant craters left behind by ancient eruptions, all located beneath the island of Sicily. Each of these calderas is massive on their own, but together they form what is known as the Phlegrean fields. And when it comes to volcanoes, this is one of the largest in the entire world. Here's why. A caldera forms when magma from deep inside the earth makes its way to the surface, causing an eruption. Now, depending on the amount of magma, this can be a small or large explosion. Sometimes the resulting crater can be no wider than a football field. Other times it can be many miles across. The reason for this has to do with something called the Volcanic Explosivity Index, or VEI. To put it simply, the more magma that's released during an eruption, the higher the rating. And the higher the rating, the larger the caldera that is eventually formed. Now, most volcanoes tend to have a rating between 1 and 3. Anything above that is considered to be extremely rare and highly dangerous. At number 8 on the VEI scale, the Italian supervolcano has erupted several times over the course of human history. In fact, it was responsible for the Neapolitan Yellow Tuff eruption, which occurred approximately 39,000 years ago. Today, this event is still considered to be the second largest eruption in human history. What's more, this is just one of 3 super eruptions that have occurred in the past 2 million years. That means that the Italian supervolcano is roughly equivalent to the likes of Yellowstone National Park, except it's completely underwater. Now, here's where things get interesting. There are multiple calderas that make up the Italian supervolcano. There's Campi Flegrei, which is the oldest of the bunch. Then there's Eruption, which hasn't erupted since 13,000 BC. And finally we have the youngest caldera, which is also the most active. Between the years 1500 and 1900, there were 13 major eruptions along with numerous smaller ones, and geologists predict that another major eruption is long overdue. To make matters worse, the last major eruption occurred in 1912. That's right, this volcano erupted less than 100 years ago. Fortunately, there wasn't much damage done. The small town of Terranova da Sibari was completely destroyed, but there weren't many people living there at the time. However, the real threat lies in the possibility of a super eruption. When Campi Flegrei erupts in its entirety, it will be catastrophic. The good news is that scientists have been able to monitor the volcano closely. They've been tracking the seismic activity beneath the surface of the Earth to try and predict when the next eruption may occur. However, the latest findings have been somewhat disturbing. In October of 2020, scientists detected a sharp increase in the frequency of earthquakes in the area. Prior to this, there had been about 2 earthquakes per day, but after October, there were 150 earthquakes per day. Scientists were perplexed. They couldn't figure out why there was such a sudden spike in activity. Was the Italian supervolcano preparing to erupt? It took several months, but experts eventually determined that there had been a 4.9 magnitude earthquake roughly 10 miles beneath the surface. As far as earthquakes go, this isn't particularly large, but it was enough to disturb the magma chambers beneath the volcano. And when it comes to Campi Flegrei, you don't want to disturb the magma chamber at all costs. That's because it's filled with more magma than scientists previously believed. Researchers used magnetic and gravity readings to determine that there was a dense mass of magma 30 miles beneath the surface. This is 12 miles deeper than they expected. Experts now believe that this magma chamber extends all the way from Naples to the island of Capri, and it contains enough magma to cause a super eruption. So what exactly is happening right now? Well, as it turns out, the Italian supervolcano may already be in the process of erupting. Experts recently discovered that the magma chamber beneath the surface is slowly draining. That could mean that an eruption is imminent, or it could be a sign that magma is rising from the deep magma chamber. Either way, scientists have sounded the alarm. They're doing everything they can to prepare for the inevitable. Here's the thing. There's nothing humans can do to stop a super eruption. Even if an eruption was imminent, evacuating the surrounding areas would be impossible. You see, Campi Flegrei is located just 8 miles from Naples, which is home to roughly 4 million people. Unfortunately, the fine ash produced by the volcano would travel throughout the entire city, making it impossible for anyone to evacuate without being exposed to toxic particles. At that point, the only option would be to hide in one of the shelters built beneath the city, except those shelters were designed to protect citizens from bombs, not volcanic ash. Still, that might be the best option, because if you were caught outside during the eruption, you wouldn't stand a chance. You see, the initial explosion would likely be visible from Paris. People would hear the eruption as far away as Switzerland, and then the ash would begin to fall. For the first few days, ash would cover the entire country of Italy, eventually spreading to every corner of the Mediterranean. It would continue to rain down for weeks, killing off crops and poisoning livestock. But perhaps even more dangerous would be the pyroclastic surges. These occur when hot gas and solid matter race down the side of the volcano at up to 400 miles per hour. It would be absolutely devastating. Whole villages would be wiped off the map in a matter of seconds. Then there's the lahar. You see, the Italian supervolcano is surrounded by several major fault lines. When it erupts, the ash and magma will flow into the sea and trigger a massive tsunami. Cities like Naples, Sorrento, and Capri would be completely destroyed. To make matters worse, the eruption would have serious effects on the global climate. Scientists estimate that the ash and gases would block out the sun, causing temperatures around the world to plummet. What's worse, the ash would contaminate the water supply and poison the soil. Food shortages and widespread famine would likely follow. So put simply, there's nothing humans can do to stop the devastation caused by a super eruption. The best we could hope for is that the eruption doesn't happen anytime soon. Unfortunately, there's no telling when or if another super eruption will occur. Campi Flegrei is currently in a state of repose, meaning that it's relatively calm for the time being. Scientists are continuing to monitor the situation, but there's little they can do other than watch. The Italian supervolcano may be quiet today, but that doesn't mean it won't erupt tomorrow. Now watch. Yellowstone supervolcano. What would happen if it erupted? Or check out